Everyone, welcome to a special bonus Locked On Lakers for a Sunday. Brian Kamenetsky, Andy Kamenetsky, the Lakers totally no-show in Atlanta, and they start the trip off on a down note. We'll break it down next.
You are Locked On Lakers, your daily Los Angeles Lakers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks to everybody for making Locked On Lakers first listen of every day, Monday through Friday, no matter where you get your podcasts. This one is never going to be locked up behind some kind of paywall. Locked On Lakers on YouTube is we're over 37,000 subscribers. Andy, are all wondering what the heck went on Saturday, because it wasn't Lakers basketball. The Lakers no-showed, worst performance of the season, I think, by a long shot. They fall to 7-3, losing to an extraordinarily shorthanded Atlanta Hawks squad. 122-102, the final score. Game, honestly, that really wasn't that close. As the score, it wasn't as close as the score would indicate. No LeBron, Austin Reaves still on the sidelines, Andy, for the Lakers. That doesn't matter. The Hawks were playing without Trae Young, Jalen Johnson, Kristaps Porzingis, Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Those are...
And Jalen Johnson.
I said Jalen Johnson.
Okay, it was Jalen Johnson, Kristaps Porzingis, Trae Young, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Luke Kennard.
Oh, and Luke Kennard. I forgot Luke Kennard. But, we're talking about four very, frontline players, and then one of Atlanta's more important subs in Kennard. I mean, it's one thing you can come out and lose. Look, the Lakers showed a few days ago, you can surprise a team when you're missing all your guys. Like, we've seen that from the Lakers, but the lack of effort, the lack of intensity that they showed from the jump in this one was pretty bad.
Yeah, I tweeted out during the game at Cam Brothers, the downside to the Lakers, having spent the overwhelming majority of this season playing very hard, a lot of effort, a lot of intensity. I think treating no game like they're ever out of it or ever a game that they can't compete in, that's great. And I want to make it clear, it's who I think this team still is. One game does not erase that. But the downside to playing that way is when you play with less effort, less intensity, less desire, it is glaringly obvious. Yeah. And that was the case in this game. I was doing Lakers radio pre and post game for 710 ESPN, the Lakers radio affiliate. And in the pregame, I was talking with Michael Thompson, Clay's dad, Showtime member. And I was saying how the Lakers this year, and we've talked about this on the show, have not treated any game like a scheduled loss. Like, regardless of the circumstances, second end of a back-to-back, whoever they're missing, whatever. The win in Portland being the best example of that. The problem tonight was they treated this game like a scheduled win.
I think so.
There's no question. They treated this like a scheduled win. They walked in like a team that recognized, even though we're missing a few players ourselves, they're missing damn near everybody that matters. We have Luka Dončić, by far the best player that's going to be on the court tonight. Atlanta's not a good team, even at full strength. We got this. There's only so much effort we have to put into it. And, no effort around, find out.
Yeah, teams will play bad games that's going to happen every, even if you're really good, every, 11th game, every 9th game, every 6th game, whatever it is, you're just going to kind of lay an egg. It happens. And that's the ebb and flow of a season. But I think you could tell by JJ Redick's reaction after the game. He didn't look at this as one of those, look, we went out there and we did our best. Like, we tried. We just
wasn't clicking for whatever reason.
There. I mean, we all have those days. In everything that we do, it's like, I'm doing my best, but like, I can't get out of my own way. Whether it's sports or anything else in life. This just wasn't that. It was just a really lousy no-show effort, where, like you say, it certainly appeared that they thought, that this was going to be one of those games where being shorthanded themselves wasn't going to be a big deal, because look at all the teams we've beaten. We've gotten a few guys back. We've got Luka, best player on the floor by a mile. And so
they've got one ball handler in Dyson Daniels at all. Like, really?
Wallace is
but he's inexperienced though. I mean, he's an
I'm just saying, like,
player.
he's all right. But like, they've got, the point is, it's like when the Lakers in Portland, you look at some of these shooting percentages and stuff like that. And, they had 3 guys, I think, who shot 60%, on volume in that game. Nick Smith, between Nick Smith and Rui and Laravia, it was like, you're getting a ton of high percentages of it. It was one of those nights where if you let a team get into a rhythm, believe they could start winning, and the Lakers turned around and did the exact same thing for the Hawks, who, most of their rotation guys were out, but you're left with, Dyson Daniels, a good player. Okongwu is a good player. And then, you let, Vit Krejci and, Gay.
Mohamed Gay. He had a career night. He set a career high for points. He set a career high. He more than doubled his career high for assists. Like, there is no reason Mohamed Gay should have a 7-assist night. No, it just shouldn't happen. No disrespect to him. Congrats.
None at all. None at all.
That should not happen.
Asa Newell, their number 1 pick. Like, they just they
he has 4 steals to his career so far. They all happened tonight.
Yeah, they allowed the Hawks to get comfortable, to get confident. These are guys in the either in the back end of Atlanta's rotation, except for a couple of Okongwu plays and whatever. But like, a lot of these guys are back end of the rotation players who are trying to earn more time in the NBA, who see this as a golden opportunity to do that, and they let them get in. And then some of these guys just had really great nights, and there is some of that. Atlanta, whenever there was a big shot that needed to be hit just to make sure the Lakers didn't get any momentum, they hit it. And, the Lakers made it easier for them. They turned the ball over 19 times. Their transition defense was horrendous. And
which matched their half-court defense.
But there was a little bit like that. I mean, the transition defense, the back cutting in the half court, all this stuff. I was particularly unimpressed with just the speed with which they got back in transition, the speed with which they attempted to recover from a turnover and all that kind of stuff. Because that's just running. Even in the half court, you can lose assignments. You're not used to this player that you're guarding. It's different combinations, all this other stuff. Getting back in transition to some degree is just run, and they weren't doing it. And we'll pick apart a little bit more of this and then look ahead to the rest of the trip, because the math does get a little bit more complicated. If you wanted, Andy, you talked about a 3-2 road trip. If you want a 3-2 road trip, now you're going to have to beat one of the
3-2 is the baseline. That was the baseline.
Right. But now you're going to have to do that. You're going to have to beat one of the 2 frontline teams that you play on this trip. So we'll get into it next.
Locked on Lakers is brought to you by Robinhood. Your ambition just met its match. With Robinhood, you play for the win, not just on game day, every day, locking in on every opening, beating your PR, beating it again, channeling that drive into your money. Robinhood puts you in control of your money. Trade stocks and EFTs, options, futures, and crypto all in one platform. And you can now build and execute your own trades from a desktop with Robinhood Legends advanced tools, or take advantage of the new Robinhood strategies with a tailored portfolio managed by a team of experts. You expect more from yourself, expect more from your money. Get started today at Robinhood.com/yourmoney. That's Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Your money, your move.
Locked on Lakers, also brought to you by Game Time. Basketball season officially here. Nothing beats being in the arena for these opening games, but hey, let's be honest here. Getting tickets can be a total headache between waiting in queues, surprise fees, prices that jump right before checkout. It's easy to get frustrated. Really, all you want to do is get in the building and cheer on your team, and that's where Game Time comes in. the app that gives fans the advantage. It's your ultimate life hack for scoring amazing NBA tickets fast, easy, and stress-free. You've heard me talk about it, how we use Game Time at our house to go to a lot of soccer games. That's what my kids are into. They're less about the basketball, more about the soccer. So we go to LAFC, we go to Angel City, we go to the Galaxy, and we do this a lot of times by just picking up tickets same day, looking at the graph of the stadium and figuring out the picture of the stadium, figuring out exactly where we want to sit. I can see how much we're going to pay without any surprise fees at checkout. Now, for NBA, you can find NBA tickets for under $25 on Game Time. So if that's your thing, go take advantage. Take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. That's code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. I feel like the Lakers swapped on Saturday because I don't know what that means, but it doesn't sound good.
Swap walk through that game.
They did swap walk. I mean, look, you look at the box score and like Luka finished with 22 and 11, 22, 5 and 11 because
basically all in the first half.
Right. It was like he wasn't playing all that well. And you looked up and he had basically that line at the half. You're like, that's just how good Luka is. But Rui was 3 for 9. LaRavia was okay. He wasn't really the problem, at least not offensively.
No, he was not very good in this game.
He wasn't great, at least efficiency wise. Jared Vanderbilt had 18 rebounds. That was pretty cool.
I thought Vando was one of the. I don't know if Vando particularly played well in this game, but he was one of the few guys that I will give credit played hard.
If everybody came out with the same energy and intensity as Vanderbilt, they would have been better off.
Yes.
I actually thought Bronny did some nice things, and sort of low key continuing to perform better against NBA competition. This is another one of those good little building blocks in terms of some stuff. We're not going to sit here and break down his 9 points. Nick Smith Jr. played the opposite of what he did in Portland. Which is always a possibility. You take the whole thing and you kind of flush it, as Kobe used to say.
Well, except this is interesting. JJ said we're not flushing it. He was actually asked, it's a very standard media question. What do you do with this game? Do you go through the film or break it all down, or do you flush it? And JJ said, no, we're going to look at it for sure. Like he was not even happy because flushing it is typically for things just weren't clicking tonight. It's just one of those nights where we didn't have it. This was a night where they didn't bother trying to have it.
Right. And that's what I mean. What I mean by that is
damn right. We're sitting through this film.
Well, no, you punish people. You punish people by making them watch the movie. Mm-hmm. But what I mean is you don't, assuming you go out and you play a little harder on Monday in Charlotte, but you don't look at this as a game that is sort of indicative of what you are. It's very different than how they've been playing. Yeah. And it's, like I said, 82 game season, you will get nights like this. But that said, you move on from this, there aren't I think necessarily a lot of lessons to learn from it other than, hey guys, let's quit. You have to take every game seriously, and you have to come ready to play in every game. So that's what they'll carry into Charlotte on Monday. I would certainly expect a much better effort against a very bad Hornets team that is missing a couple people, including LaMelo Ball. They should be better, but now again, if you put yourself from the jump on this 5-game trip in a position where if you want to finish above 500, you're going to have to beat probably at least one of the two big teams on this trip in Oklahoma City and Milwaukee. It's not exactly where you wanted to be after game 1 of the trip.
Yeah, and to your point, because I think it's the only responsible way to talk about this. I don't think this game was indicative of a warning sign or the 7-2 record. It's not really who they were. There are a lot of holes you could poke in it. No, I think the 7-2 record is who they are. They have flaws, just like basically any team not named Oklahoma City or Thunder. Like they all
They
have
played a bleepy bad game.
Right. They played a bad game that they didn't show up for, that they did not have the right mindset for. It was interesting. DeAndre Ayton, after the game, said something that I thought was really interesting. He mentioned that there were a lot of guys on this Hawks roster available tonight that are lower down a scouting report, if they're even on a scouting report at all. Like mentioned Mohamed Gay, who had a career night, and kudos to him. That's awesome for making.
How many people do? What do people know about guys like Wallace or
Right.
Krejci and players like
these are guys that are lower on the scouting report if they are on it at all, and they're not typically the guys you prepare for. And Ayton said they were underestimated, those guys. And he actually said, quote, "Them guys were hungry." And obviously those guys were hungry for something different. They want an opportunity to show what they can do, whether for their coaching staff or any of the other 29 teams around the league. They want an opportunity. But what's disappointing to me is the Lakers were not hungry for the opportunity with this road trip. Like, they were not hungry for the idea of, we can set up 3-2 as a baseline, 4-1 as a possibility, by just, you don't even have to play your asses off. Just play with a B to B plus level effort, and we can likely control this game. And, I said with Michael Thompson before the game, my goal or hope for Luka was, especially in an era where everyone's talking about load management, certain players are out and whatnot, that this was a game that Luka could play 30 minutes or less, because the Lakers controlled it so much and built up such a lead that by 9 minutes left in the fourth quarter, you start playing without Luka, and then you just never have to put him back in. He did play under 30 minutes tonight, just for all the wrong reasons.
Technically that part came true. And that's what, but Ayton's point is kind of what I was getting at before about, why you can give them some similar. Portland probably didn't spend a whole lot of time scouting for Nick Smith, even if they remembered him, from last year or something like that in Charlotte. They don't play the Hornets that often. So it's like, okay, guys can surprise you, run, just effort and things like that. And they were very sloppy.
They didn't look like they wanted to play the game, to be honest. They really didn't.
It's Atlanta. They got to Atlanta a day early. I don't know.
Are you suggesting there might have been an excess of lemon pepper?
All I know is, like, the Lakers, even at their worst, used to catch teams. I remember the 7-win team from whatever year that was, like, beat the snot out of a Warriors team that spent like 3 days in LA.
Atlanta is a very popular city for NBA players. And
it is Vegas for NBA players.
There's always an expression, LA nightlife is undefeated. Atlanta is at least on the medal. They're in the medal.
They're on the podium.
They're on the podium. Good way.
Again, I'm not saying that's what this is, but
I have no idea if that's what happened.
But
I'm just saying it looked like it's what happened.
It wouldn't be the first time, but that's what it looked like.
To be clear, we do not have any knowledge.
No, none. Happening. But if you're looking at like what the game looked like, it looked like they came from the club to the game.
It looked like they were actually eating lemon pepper wings at halftime,
right?
And during the game.
So but it's these games annoy fans more than just sucking. Yeah. Like, have a bad game, miss a bunch of shots, you come back to the next one. So we'll see. It was a game.
This comment from Nell7, they downplayed their opponent. Even the Hawks commentator didn't expect the Hawks to win.
Right. But like it's frustrating too, because the Lakers just did this in Portland. Mm-hmm. They just did this. They did exactly to the Blazers what the Hawks did to them. They showed up with half a team, and they surprised a good team by playing really hard and having some guys catch fire, taking the opportunity to get into a rhythm. And then you look up and Ricochet is 7 of 14 and Gay is 8 of 12. And, Okongwu is shooting a decent percentage.
Dyson
and
Daniels has a near triple-double.
Right. Asa Newell is 7 of 12. And Dyson Daniels was 5 of 8. Like, everything about this, the only thing the Lakers probably didn't do, I think you could look at the box score and say, well, they didn't put Atlanta on the line because you have to get near someone to foul them. Like, that's the thing. It's like Atlanta, they couldn't foul them because they weren't close enough to the Hawks to do it. It was just it was really bad. It was a really bad game, and I will be really disappointed if it looks like this on Monday.
Yep.
But I don't think it will.
I don't think it will either. This has not been indicative of them. I'm not going to start panicking that this is who they are. It's just disappointing that this is who they were.
Yep. So shame on them. But don't let it ruin your Sunday. Certainly don't let it ruin the beginning of your week. There was another game coming on Monday, and better times are ahead. Austin Reaves, by the way, is traveling with the team and is expected, they hope, to return, if not on Monday, at some point during this trip. They would have left him at home if they didn't think there was a chance he was going to play. So Locked On Lakers on YouTube is where we can go hang out with over 37,000 subscribers to the channel. We will see everyone after. We'll see everyone tomorrow for Monday's show.
Before we go, though, we got to let you know also that Locked On Lakers is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA is back. There is no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of a game or want to ride the hot hand of, for example, any Hawk who played in this game, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Hope you did not put anything down on the Lakers. Plus, you can combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It makes every game exciting, even when your team's not making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA.
All right. See everyone tomorrow. Bye.